Get ready with me while I tell you guys a story about how I sued my last job. Okay, so it was basically my first real job because I never really worked. I was always kind of like a stay-at-home mom, and I got my first job. I was super excited, you know. I always dreamt of having a job because I just wanted to know what it was like to have a job, to work, have coworkers, go to lunch. I never experienced that, so I was super excited. And I worked at a warehouse. No, sorry, not a warehouse. I worked at a hardware store. It was a little like family-owned store, and it was super good. Like the experience was good. I actually loved the job. All the locals where I lived would go there, so I quickly like just started getting along with everybody. I worked as the cashier in the front, so I was the first face you would see because I would like be the one who greets you right when you walk in. Experience, you know, I loved the job. I was very different, I would say for sure, because I looked different. The store was in Diamond Bar, so if you know the area, it's a very like calm area. It was very I don't know, it just wasn't like ghetto. It was really, you know, and I'm very different in the city. Like I kind of stood out. Not a lot of people look like me where I lived, so everybody knew me and would recognize me. But I loved it because I made a lot of friends working there. I met a lot of people that I still talk to this day that I met through the store, whether it be a customer or um, yeah, very much a customer. Customers, yeah, I'll become friends with a lot of the customers. Also, like, my coworkers were cool at the beginning, you know, everything was great. My boss was great, he was really nice, everything was just perfect experience, for my first job experience, you know, everything was good. So, everything was good, and then the girl who was training me was the manager who had been there the longest of everybody working there. Mind you, it's a small store, so working there was probably only like max 10 employees. It was not a lot of people working there. So yeah. Anyway, the girl training me, she was like the manager at the time, and she had been there for a couple years, and she seemed really nice at first. Mind you, she was the one training me. She trained me, I want to say, if I use the right word, I don't want to say lazy, but she kind of trained me kind of lazy. I mean, it was just kind of like one day, like, here's how you use the register, this is what you gotta do, and you're on your own the next day. You know, you need help, radio. And the store was kind of like ghetto, to be honest with you. Even though it was in a nice area, the owner would never like upgrade anything. Like things wouldn't work, and he just didn't care. The machine wouldn't take like certain cards. Reward system. It's a big store. Like it's a well-known store. We just weren't part of like the rewards program, and it was really frustrating. I don't know, there's a lot of stuff going on, but she would be the one who closes and opens the store. And you know, fast forwarding later in time, after working there for a while, they wanted to find someone else to be essentially like another manager because this girl can't open and close, you know, 7 days a week. So they needed another open and closer. So here I am trying to run up to the, you know, to take that spot. And I was trying to prove that I can do it. So I, you know, was being being trained on how to open and close. The store would close at 7. So what the girl who was training me would do, because she was the open and closer, is she would start closing the store, like getting it ready to close, obviously before 7. That way by 7, you know, she's out of here. We all wanted to go home, obviously. Who doesn't, right? Right after work. So she would, you know, essentially start getting the store ready to close around 6:30. She would bring all the items that are for sale outside, back inside by 6:30. By 6:40, we're like already kind of shutting stuff down and whatnot. So basically by, I want to say by like 6:50 for sure, 55, the door was closed. Like, girl, the door was shut by 50. If someone walked in, you know, it's not locked, but by 55, girl, that door was shut. And by the time it's 7, you're already at the back, because we would exit through the back. You're already at the back, turn off the lights, and locking the back door and getting to the gate to get home. That's the way that I was trained. Like, every single day. Every single day, that's just the way it was done, you know? Every time that I was with her, and she would close, her and another manager at the time before he got fired. And that's another story to tell. But that's the way everybody would do it, you know? So when it came around to be my turn, I would do it the same way, you know? So slowly, like, things started to happen, you know? My coworkers were just, I don't know, I don't want to sound like anything, but I think they were just jealous of me, or I don't know what it was. They just hated on me. I can't really tell you what it was, but they would get like weird, like I said, I would close the same way that she would, and for some reason they would have a problem when I did it. They would be like, oh, you know, you're closing too early, and I'm like, what do you mean? Like, usually they're all like, when she would close, would be out the door. They would be out the door, like ready to go. Like, girl, it's 6:55. I'm out. Like, if she wasn't even closing the door yet, they're like, it's my time to go. They'd already be out. So if a customer was to walk in, she has no help because they're already out. They're like, I'm out of here. My time's up. And the closer can't really do that, you know, because they have to close. So if somebody walks in, you're shit out of luck because you gotta help them. And so, yeah, so it's just funny how when she would do that, they were totally okay with it. Like, oh, yeah, you know, close early. I don't care. I want to go home. But if I did it, it's like they seemed to have a problem, you know? And that place wasn't like a normal job where people get in trouble for being late. Like, nobody cared. You could literally do no call, no show once a week, every month, and nobody would care. And everybody did that. But if I did that, oh, it was a problem. My coworkers would make sure to tell me something, you know? Everybody eats in the front register whenever someone else's shift, right? Because we have to change shifts. Nobody had an issue with that, you know? Everybody would leave their mess, people would leave trash, greasy fry stains on the counter. I mean, you name it. Everybody, that's just how it was. But, of course, if I did it, I would wake up in the morning, or my next shift, and there'd be a note that said, not like, hey, please clean after yourself. It would be like, you know, don't be a pig, pick up your mess. No one wants to clean up after you. It's disgusting. And I just felt like the way that the messages were labeled was very unprofessional. You know, it was very rude. It was giving hostile environment. Also, the place, like I said, was really ghetto. So the AC in the whole store just never worked since I worked there, because I guess it broke a couple years back. And the owner was like, I'm not fixing shit. So he just did it. And so we basically just died every summer because it was so hot in there. It was like an oven. It was not even, it wasn't even like it was dangerous how hot it was, you know, like you can get a heat stroke. So what my boss decided to do was get like these portable AC units, one at the front register and one at the back desk. So if you're working the floor, you're shit out of luck. You're basically gonna die. And what we would do to survive was freeze water bottles and put them like in our like shirts or in our pants. We would wet ourselves outside. Like that's how bad this store was. And so I was always in the register, so I had my AC unit, and then the people that worked at the back desk with like the bolts and screws and stuff, the help desk, they would have one too. So with this AC unit, it would eventually overheat. So you'd have to turn it off for a couple minutes and let her fucking, you need to let her cool off, girl, because she will overheat. So since I was always in the front at this time and I was working a lot, like at least 5 to 6 days a week, and I was doing full shifts, so I was always in the front. This girl decided to put a note on the AC unit saying to not turn it on and leave it on fan mode because it overheats. And, you know, you may think it's just like she's being, you know, trying to take care of the unit, but I'm like, girl, you know she's doing it because she's just trying to pick on me, because it's like, you know I'm the one in the front. You know that there's no way that I'm just going to be on fan mode. If that's the case, what was even the point of the AC unit? So I texted my boss and I'm like, hey, you know, is this not supposed to be turned on? And he's like, no, yeah, I got it for you guys. And I'm like, okay, well, what's up with this note? He's like, I have no idea what's up with that note. I did not put that note there. Go ahead and use it. And I'm like, okay, period. Like, who's being like, you know, a bully? And it was stuff like this all the time. All the time. Oh, and then she made up this rule where, because there's never, like, there's no gender. Like, there's barely employees. So no one cleans bathrooms. And we worked with a bunch of men. It was just me and her were the only girls. So yeah, the bathrooms were disgusting to say the least. But, you know, I'm not getting paid extra for that. So it is what it is, girl. And so she just made up this random rule, like, you know what? From now on, everybody's going to have their day to, like a chore list, you know? So every week on our schedule, it's going to say, today is your day to clean the bathrooms. And then in 2 days, it's this person's day to clean the bathrooms, etc. And there's a list of how to clean the bathroom. So I would go and clean the bathroom, and we're supposed to sign in the back of our, like, schedule, like our date, and sign that we did, and then that we did it. So everybody would do that, and I would too. But when I would do it, somebody, when I would come in the next day, somebody would scratch out my name and put not done. It was ridiculous, you know. I was like, who's doing that? Like, it's just really annoying. And it's not a big deal because I know I did it, but it was just a point to me, like the principal, that someone was just fucking with me and trying to make me out to look bad. And I didn't really like that because I'm like, who's doing that? Like, say something, you know? But of course they never say it to my face because they're scared. So yeah, that's how it was. And so we also had like a whiteboard that the manager got right when I worked there. It was already there. But we were both the ones that were very like artistic, so it was always either me or her. Whoever got there first would draw on the whiteboard and make the calendar for the month. You know, if it was Easter, we'd make it all cute, Easter bunnies and Easter eggs, etc. You get the point. So when all this started happening, this is, mind you, like 6 months, maybe 7 months into when I started working, that all this drama started. And I worked there for 2.5 years. So just think about how long I dealt with bullying, okay? She started to, like, I would draw on the whiteboard, which was very normal. Like, this is something that would always happen. And, you know, there was days I would come in and I would notice, like, wait a minute, my drawings are gone. Like, the whole whiteboard is gone. And I'm like, what happened? So I would redo it. And then the next day it'd be gone again. And it would be like done all ugly and basic. And I'm like, what is even the point of that? Like, I feel like someone's purposely doing it so that I can see, like, you know? And she did buy markers, like cute markers, you know? And we had basic ones, but she had bought like cute ones, like different colors. And so this battle with the whiteboard kept going on every day till one day the markers went missing. And then, like, it was just ridiculous. So I was telling my boss about the drawings at first, and he kept saying, you know, it's in my head, I'm overreacting, I'm sure it's not towards me. And then the next day I'm like, hey, well, the markers are gone now, so I'm sure that it is towards me. And they're just trying to show me, like, okay, bitch, you're gonna keep, you know, drawing on the whiteboard, and then we're gonna take the markers from you. And I don't like that. So I told him, and then the next day he goes, hey, so whose markers are they? And I'm like, well, they're hers. But my problem isn't the markers. The problem is, why is she being like a little kid, bringing markers for everybody, and then all of a sudden, like, you know what? No, you're not using my markers. I think that's weird behavior, if you ask me. It's giving hater. So we took the whiteboard away. She goes and gets another one and puts it in the back desk. And then they start having, we always have these, like dinners, kind of like when like you have like a work dinner, if that makes sense. We would recycle water bottles because we went through waters like crazy. And with that money, we would go out to Korean barbecue, and it was paid for, you know, by that. And we would all go. And that's just what it always was. And I used to get along with everybody. So, of course, I was always there as well. And when she put the whiteboard, her whiteboard in the back, she would put like, oh, team dinner. But like, nobody would invite me. Well, nobody invited me. And I'm just like, you guys are weird. Like, I don't want to go anyways. Like, you guys are losers. And that's the thing, too, is like, they would talk crap to me. And like, if you don't know me, like, you can't really offend me. Because I'm a fully confident person, and no matter what you have to say about me, like, I really don't care, because I've always taken care of myself, and nobody's paid my bills but me, and I get through things on my own, so I don't really care for no one's opinion. So there's this guy who worked there who was like 47 years old. Mind you, he's old. No shade on anybody who's in their 40s, but like older than me, okay? Like, he had years on me, years. So I'm like, you would think he'd act more like his age. And it was a little odd, because he would like call me fat, and he would like try to talk shit to me, and like I would literally look at him every time like, are you joking? Like, you're 47, and not to be based on looks, but if you want to call me fat and go on my looks, like, you're ugly, you're short, you're little, and you're not attractive. And I feel like you hate yourself, and that's why you're trying to put me down. And I think they wouldn't like that I couldn't like be bullied, you know? That's my opinion. So, I mean, there was even a time when I wore Crocs to work because there was no dress code. And he had said something like, because I had all these charms on my Crocs, which is fine, wear what you want, like, who cares? And he had made a comment like, oh my god, you're wearing Crocs, and with all the charms, you're like a little kid. And I was like, so what? Who says that I can't wear? Who says I can't wear Crocs with charms? And he's like, society. Society says that you shouldn't be dressing like a little kid at your age. And I'm like, okay, society also says that at your age you should be married and have kids and have your own house. But you're not, are you? You're living at home with your mom. And you have no girlfriend, you have no wife, and you have no kids. So shut the fuck up. And he didn't like that. And I think that before this drama got worse, I think it's just because no me dejaba, like, I wouldn't let myself, and I would have a big mouth. Not a big mouth, but I would talk back. I think he wouldn't like that, you know? And, yeah, they would like talk crap about me. Oh my God, it got worse. There was a time we have back gate to get out when we clock out. And this kid who worked there, he was like buddy buddy. It was the old guy, it was the manager, and then the kid. They were like this. She was like the ringleader, and they were like her little minions. That's how it was. And what they would do is when I would clock out, they're never in the back. How do they care to watch me clock out? They don't. Well, there was a time where I was clocking out, and they knew because, you know, we had to change shifts. And the kid runs to the back. And I'm like, okay, didn't really think nothing of it at first. And then when I'm going to the gate, I notice him just in the back watching me, and he's laughing. And I'm like, since when is he just in the back? He never does that. He'd be doing something else. So he put the lock on the gate so high so that I struggle and can't get out. To me, that's really rude, and that's like harassment, because you know that I'm gonna get out to the gate, you know? So yeah, I told my boss, and I sent him a picture, and I had an issue with it, because like I shouldn't have to struggle to just go home. It's kind of ridiculous. Anyway, so that kind of stuff would happen, you know. The three of them, when they had their shifts together, they would go and, like, let's say one of them goes to lunch or one is on a break, they'd all go on a break. They'd go next door to Ross, and all three go on a shopping spree. And guess who's left alone with the whole store? Me. No help, no nothing. To me, that's bullshit, because, you know damn well you can't be doing that in any other store, any other job. So yeah, I took a picture and I took a video and I sent it to my boss, and I'm like, hey, am I allowed to just leave and go shopping on a shopping spree for like 30 minutes? Because this is what these motherfuckers are doing. Oh no, they're allowed breaks, but, you know, not all together at once. Okay, well, this is what they're doing. And I never got a break, mind you, the whole time I worked there. Never. I would never be allowed a break, because even if I wanted one, no one would cover me in the front. And when I wanted to go to the bathroom, obviously I have to get coverage. So I would have to ask someone, like, can someone come to the front so they can cover me so that I can just use the bathroom, which is a very normal thing. But whenever I wanted to go to the bathroom, no one would come up when I radioed. And I was always like, okay, I get it. Like, maybe they're busy, but, like, it's been 30 minutes. And a bitch gotta go, like, you know? And so there was a time when I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just see what the fuck they're doing. And I'm radioing, and I walked to the back desk, and they're all just laughing and talking. They're purposely ignoring me and laughing. And I'm like, fuck you guys. I'm gonna go to the bathroom, you know? So I would go. And there was times where I would go to the bathroom and someone would cover me, which is usually the old guy. So the old guy would cover me, but when I would get back, the register would be destroyed. Like, he'd have all the ones and coins thrown around, and he'd make a mess with it. And he thought that was funny. He thought it was funny, but I didn't, because I saw it like I was being punished for simply just going to the bathroom, you know? And whenever I would radio, like, hey, I gotta go to the bathroom, he'd be like, you better not take forever. And I'm like, why am I being timed to go to the bathroom? Like, really? That's ridiculous to me. And so I go to the bathroom, and then the kid kicks the fucking door to the bathroom. I'm like, why are you bothering me while I'm in the bathroom? That is just so rude. That's so, like, bullying and harassment. It's crazy. And then I would get to the desk, and the kid would get the tip jar and throw all the coins and tell me to pick them up. This is at this point full on bullying. He would throw water bottles at me and tell me to throw them in the recycling. I mean, you name it. This kind of stuff went on every day, as in every one of my shifts, this stuff would happen. So yeah, I mean, eventually I got tired of it, you know? It got old, and mind you, while all this was happening, I was documenting it, and I was telling my boss about it. And I eventually got tired, you know. I would go home crying sometimes because it was too much. Sometimes I would be so frustrated that I would call him frustrated, and he would tell me, just go home. And I would. But honestly, I feel like the way that I suffered, I used to hate going to work. Like, I would wake up and dread going to work. And here's my thing, is I'm not someone that you can really like bother like that. Because if we were out in the streets, I'd probably just beat their ass. But because I'm in a work environment, I felt a little conflicted because I didn't want to get fired because I needed my job. And I didn't like that I was put in a position where my boss is supposed to protect me and prevent these things from happening. And for over a year, I complained and cried to him, and he really did nothing. I had no choice but to cut my schedule because I had to not work the days that they worked. And that wasn't fair because they were the ones bullying me. They should have been the ones that got hours cut, in my opinion. And instead, I felt like I had to take care of myself and cut my own hours. And I just feel like that was not okay. That should have never happened. But it did. You know, it did. So that's just how it was, you know? And it sucked. But what was I gonna do? I mean, really, what was I gonna do? And it got to the point where I only worked 1 day a week. And I'm like, at this point, why do I even work here? So I got another job and I left. But before I left, one day, the way that I felt, someone had told me, like, I can't be legal. Mind you, I don't know anything about laws. I don't know anything about work laws. I've only had one job, so I don't really know anything. But I consulted with an attorney because someone told me, like, to talk to someone, and I did. And as soon as I got my case, I started going to court. I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna leave the job. So I left, and yeah, I left the job, and after that, I feel like everything was fine, you know? After I left the job, I was happier. I was in a better place mentally and everything, you know, financially, all that. It was just, everything happened for a reason. But, you know, I feel like sometimes you have to go through stuff to learn. But yeah, so I sued. My boss tried to tell me, his attorney, that I quit before I even did, you know? He told him that I signed a resignation letter. He was so crooked and fraud. Like, I didn't even sign anything. So we're in court, and his attorney was like, wouldn't I tell you that I have proof that you signed a resignation letter? I was like, I would tell you to show me my signature. And my attorney was like, did you sign something? I go, girl, no, they're bluffing. I don't know what's their problem. Or he's lying. She goes, if he's lying, he'll get in trouble. So anyways, we went to court. It took about, I want to say 8 solid months to finally get my money. But yeah, I know my boss was pissed because, you know, it cost him money. But yeah, I mean, in the end, I won, you know. I got about like $30,000 out of it. I mean, I did have to wait for it, you know, a while, which kind of like sucked, but it was still worth it in the end because I got my money, you know. And now I learned from it, you know. And whenever I work anywhere, I don't take shit from nobody. Like, don't stress me out, you know. Don't stress me out. Don't make me overwhelmed. If I start to feel hostile, I'm like, girl. But yeah, let me just get dressed and then I'll show you guys the finished look, okay? All right, so this is pretty much the finished look. I just threw out a top and some leggings, and yeah, this is pretty much my everyday look. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Bye.